Welcome back to Life at the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli, and through the interactions I have every month with young adults, I can tell you as a mom, I'm so excited for Lyric's future and the generation after him and the generation after that. We have some of the best young adults on the planet that are out there being self-advocates, and they're doing training, and they're doing awareness, and they're teaching acceptance, and they're going out. Not only do they have jobs, educations, but they are moving the world of disabilities forward. And I'm so happy to introduce a lovely young lady today with me on the show, a self-advocate through and through, Brilly Semenova. Hi, Brilly. How you doing?
Hi, Gina. Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Brilly, why don't you tell everybody your story?
Yes, for all of the listeners and the followers on your show, my name is Brilly Semenova. I'm a self-advocate based in Maryland, but I serve families and individuals all throughout the different states, helping families understand what type of resources are out in the community, and getting them the hopes to believe that they can do what they put their mind to it, regardless of the individual's disability.
Now, Brilly, you went to Penn State, and you graduated with what degree?
I have a master's in organizational leadership and nonprofit management.
So you, on top of your advocacy, you are also a public speaker, correct?
Yes. I am a public speaker at various universities, organizations, for-profit, nonprofit. I help organizations understand what they need to do in terms of accessibility and disability for individuals of all ages.
What would you say is the biggest, in your opinion, what would you say is the biggest misconception people have about people who are disabled or challenged?
People are so quick to assume that just because someone has a visible or invisible disability that they would not be able to do a certain task or a certain job or requirement without getting to know them first, but they're going off the previous records or the previous information without getting to know the person better to see how they can accommodate them.
And Brilly, what are the areas that you advocate for families in?
Helping families understand the pros and cons of education between 504 IEP, diploma track, certificate track, the various waivers, and knowing how to transition into adult services.
And so with education comes like also the fact that people would be really well to bring an advocate with them to those IEPs and 504 meetings, correct?
Yes. But one thing to remember, Gina, is that most families don't even know where to start and how to start, and they can't afford an advocate.
And so what do you do with those folks, Brilly?
So I educate the families, depending on the severity of their situation, is to contact their local school district resource center and see if there's a liaison that they can use, depending on their situation, who can be present at the IEP meetings with them if they cannot afford the advocate.
So I want to kind of go back. Everybody listening and watching this show can hear that you have a little bit of an accent, and you grew up in Russia, correct?
Yes.
So wouldn't you say, because it's one thing to grow up in America and have challenges and disabilities and trying to navigate that journey, what would you say to families who also are coming and are immigrants and are just moving here from another country? I mean, how can we get them started in getting the right tools and resources and the pathways that they need to figure out?
So the best way to do that is to talk to their child's primary care physician, pediatrician, depending on the situation, and ask them to submit a referral for an interpreter to assist with academic needs and to really understand the path of educational needs, because it is like a second language within itself when you're trying to deal with an IEP, whether you're bilingual or not. But having a language barrier is twice as challenging. So it's really getting to know the team players of your child's team to understand what needs to be done to accommodate that child.
Sitting with me today, Brilly Semenova. She is a self-advocate, a public speaker, really a force for all families and individuals with disabilities and challenges. When we get back, we're going to find out what's ahead for Brilly coming up. Stay with me. Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. With me today, Brilly Semenova. She's a self-advocate, a public speaker. She does so many wonderful things for the community and the world of disabilities. Brilly, and recently it's come to my attention that there are some things that are outdated, from the language and words that we use to even the symbols that are often, like, let's take autism, for example. The puzzle piece is kind of outdated. Now, it was once used as the universal symbol, as, with autism. But a lot of self-advocates are saying, to me anyway, that, well, what are you equating me to? A puzzle piece and that I don't fit in? And so what are your thoughts about the terminology and the different symbols that are becoming kind of outdated and some new ones that are coming in?
So I always tell people it's not one size fit all. What works for one person may not work for another person. It's getting to know the preference of that person and the symbol that they like to identify themselves in. And I always say different abilities versus disabilities, because we all have something to contribute to our society and we're all unique in different ways. So it really depends how the person wants to define themselves.
And do you think parents should be telling their children about their challenges and differences the earlier the better, or do you think that they should wait?
Absolutely. I think the parents should have these conversations early on, because it is much easier for the individual to identify themselves as an individual with a disability, visible or invisible, so they can be more comfortable with using that terminology. Oftentimes, families tend to not disclose it to the last minute, but as they get older, it's very hard to disclose it.
It really is. And I've met parents. We don't keep anything from our son. He has known from the time he was diagnosed with autism that he has autism. And that's his superpower, right? And I've also heard of parents that, like, their kids are 11, 12 years old and they know they're different, but their parents refuse to tell them. And it really kind of gets a little sticky at that point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but it's also the thing. There are some parents that also educate families and individuals saying, well, you have a disability, you're entitled to this. Just because someone has a disability doesn't mean that they're automatically entitled to something. Some kids can use that as an excuse. So it's really educating the individuals how to use it properly.
And what do you think about that now, how everyone is moving out of the world of autism awareness into autism acceptance? What are your feelings about that?
Again, it's pros and cons. It's pros and cons. Whether you go out from acceptance or autism awareness, it's still the same diagnosis. It may impact the individual differently. We're all accepted in one way or another. We all have something to contribute.
What are you going to contribute coming up? What's on your calendar for 2024 and early 2025? Do you have big speaking engagements?
Yes, I have several speaking engagements coming up. I'm more devoting my time, instead of doing one-on-one sessions, I'm now devoting my time to organizations to do a group discussion and really help organizations understand what they need to look for when they're working with people with disabilities, and allow them to expose with their unique abilities.
And what would you say about for a family who's got a young adult transitioning from high school to college then into the workforce? How can you best help them navigate that part of their journey?
So I always tell families and individuals, transition doesn't start just from middle school and high school. Transition starts from the minute you've been diagnosed, from elementary to middle school, from middle school to high school, from high school to adult services. I feel like families should start engaging with their transition facilitators as early as possible, as the end of 8th grade, beginning in 9th grade, so they get a plan in place of what the individual wants to do based on their needs, interests, and abilities, and what the family wants their child to do, and try to compare and contrast to see how it would work.
Brilly, what would you like everyone to know, maybe that I haven't asked you, but something that you'd really like to share with families and viewers today?
So one thing that I would say, regardless of the circumstances, I know raising a child with special needs is tough. It's not an easy task, but we all have to stay positive, because our personality, our way of thinking passes on to our kids and the individuals. So keep reminding ourselves that it's okay, every day is a learning task, and that if we work together, it will come together. So staying positive.
You know what? I love that. My son, you'll appreciate this. My son always says, Mom, PVO, positive vibes only.
Yep.
And I try to remember that too, because like you said, not every day runs as smooth as you think it's going to when you wake up. And so just to have that positive mental attitude can really go a long way, especially when dealing with family members who have challenges and disabilities. Brilly, where can people find you? How can they reach out if they need your services or they want to book you for a public speaking opportunity?
Yes, they can contact me by email. It's brilly28@gmail.com.
BRILLY28@gmail.com. Brilly, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Dina, for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on the show today.
Brilly is awesome. And again, if you need help with primary, secondary education, maybe you need help with job assistance or independent living, Brilly has got a pulse in just about every single community. That's what a big advocate she is. And, you know, I said it at the beginning of the show that I work with so many young adults every single month, and the future is bright. Moms, dads, the future is so bright for your child and the generation after them. Because let me just tell you, they are truly moving the needle forward in the world of disabilities. They're smart, they're bright, they're attentive, and they go out and they make a difference. And so if you need to get in touch with Brilly, again, she's just one of many. Brilly, BRILLY28@gmail.com. Thanks again for checking out Life with the Spectrum. It is my goal to bring you the latest tools, resources, organizations, foundations, self-advocates out there moving and shaking in the world of disabilities. And so I'm so glad that Brilly was on today, and I'm so glad that you came back to check out another episode. Till next time, we live life with the Spectrum. See ya.
Bye.